welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Vintage at the request of Patreon subscriber Tormod, and this is Unpowered ReScaminator. The irony is not lost on me that someone named Tormod submitted ReScaminator. Generally, Tormod doesn't like graveyards, but here we are. And the experiment here is Unpowered Vintage, of course. Eternal Weekend, one of the most exciting events of the year, but it's also one of the only events every year that is non-proxy friendly. I played the Sultai mid-range deck that was the highest placing Unpowered deck at Eternal Weekend last year on this channel. I have featured, I believe, Red Stompy and White Initiative Unpowered as well, for those who would like to show up to Eternal Weekend and give it a run, but don't own Power 9 cards. And Tormod took it in a different direction. Here we have just one of the best decks in Legacy's history that is no longer illegal for a variety of reasons. Grief ReScaminator. Grief your opponent, reanimate Grief is a tempo play that can set up a combo Flourish, Psychic Frog in the mid-range, backup plan that also dumps monsters out of your hand, and of course we just power out one of each of the best monsters that Magic has to offer here. I'm not sure if the deck needs Vel'Gavoth and Griselbrand, but I wanted to over-index on monsters rather than under, just in case. Dark Ritual is your mana acceleration in your deck that doesn't get Moxen. And if we don't get Moxen, let's try to shut down opponent's mana as well, the full boat of Wastelands and Strip Mines. We're just trying to punch a hole early and do something messed up ahead of schedule. Unfortunately, every Vintage deck is able to do that. We'll see how this one hangs up with the best that there are. Let's do it. This is Unpowered ReScaminator. I'm on the play in round 1 versus a Lurrus strategy. This hand is not good enough. If it had another black card that I could protect Psychic Frog, maybe I'm in, but I have to mulligan aggressively here. That's too aggressive. I'm going to go to 5. Oh, it has not improved much here. Yikes. All right, 4 is starting to become a concern. Okay, mull to 4. Okay. Here, I'm keeping this hand. I have to decide if I'm going to send Entomb Reanimate or if I'm going to Grief them and Reanimate Grief. These are the cards that are going to the bottom regardless. I guess I'm just going to Grief Scam them. Yeah, one more black card, like if this was just a 5 instead of a 4, I could check their hand and then do whatever. All right. Mental Misstep, I have to take that, or else my Reanimate won't resolve. Their hand's full of good cards, though. Underground Sea, Reanimate. I don't feel like this is going to beat a Vintage deck, but gotta shoot your shot. Merchant Scroll can get Ancestral Recall and undo this whole griefing. Flame of Anor just kills Grief at some point. Yeah, sucks to take Flame of Anor, but I think I have to. Maybe that doesn't even make sense because they have Sink into Stupor that does the same thing. Okay, yeah, one black card short here. If I could have pitched Grief to clear the way for Entomb Reanimate, that's a game we can win. They drew Mishra's Bauble for turn. And here's a Ponder. Drawing a bunch of Wastelands in a row here would probably be among the best things I could do. Now, fetching Undercity Sewer and raw binning one of my monsters, then top decking a Reanimate spell is the best thing I could do. Another Tundra, we didn't know about that. Black Lotus. Right, my opponent's playing Vintage. Soul Ring. This could be Lurrus right now if they want it. Oh yeah, Lurrus, Lotus, Bounce, Grief. Alright, this game is, I will Surveil and see if I hit a monster. Oh, they're not even bouncing Grief, not even worried about it. They're just going to Ancestral. Tough start for the Unpowered deck here. Wait, Undercity Sewer. Okay, that's going to be too slow. We can go to the next game. Here, it looks like we are against some sort of combo Lurrus deck. Every deck in Vintage has Graveyard Hate, because Dredge is such a part of the format. I like Null Rod. Fatal Push is a maybe if they have the Thundertrap Trainer stuff going on, which they must if they have Flame of Anor in the list. Bauble's good. Archon of Cruelty is the worst monster against them. I can trim on monsters, like the monster package is kind of this or that. In the main deck, you want options, but in the sideboard. Valgavoth probably doesn't matter very much. Atraxa and Grizzlebrand, I think, are the ones. But Atraxa and Grizzlebrand do a similar thing. Maybe I want Valgavoth Grizzlebrand. Okay. Talk myself into that. Now I need 5 more cuts if this is all going to come together. I could cut my Lotus Petal because I'm bringing in Null Rods. That might seem small, but it's not nothing. In Trim and Animate Dead, I'm on the draw, so Force of Negation. I don't need to survive turn 1. And my opponent could go crazy, but I have the Null Rods, the Discard, the Vexing Baubles to fight that fight. Ponder's probably a little slow for a matchup like this. I am worried about my blue count now, but did I just cut a Force of Negation to bring in a Force of Negation? Hold on, hold on. Something is not checking out here. I guess I get a Ponder back if I just don't bring in this extra force. Shave 1, leave 1. Okay. One thing this deck does not have that the Legacy deck did have is 4 Troll of Khazad-dûm to bridge the gap and facilitate 4 Wastelands in a blue-black deck. If this wants to be a combo deck, maybe we don't play this many Wastelands, this many colorless sources that could force a mulligan, and instead we just focus on being the combo deck. We'll see if that bears out over the entire league or if that was just one game of bad news. Okay. I can grief them pitching Grizzlebrand, which means Valgavoth is the only monster left in my deck. I have a bunch of interaction. I guess I'm going to keep this. My next land at least casts or gets grief back. Grief pitching Grizzle. Merchant Scroll, Lorien revealed Pyroblast. Mox Ruby. I think it's Merchant Scroll. Yeah, let's get rid of that. You can't Pyroblast and Animate Dead. Well, you can. It just won't do anything. You know what I mean. I just clicked away the Pyroblast when I was trying to click away the Scalding Tarn. We'll remember it's there. Look how easy Magic is. Underground Sea, Animate Dead. And they found Tolarian Academy. I think I'm more worried about Lorien Revealed than Pyroblast. I just don't want them finding their way back into this. Meticulous Archive. Kept the card on top. There's a lot of cards that kill me. Bauble, interesting. I guess that makes Tolarian Academy not the worst, but they didn't even play it out. Interesting. All right. They bobbled me, and they reached for Lurrus. Got it. So they've set up a Lurrus that is protected by Pyroblast, but I can protect my force with Flusterstorm, and then I can animate their Lurrus. Okay. Force of Will. Fluster. And his 2 lands and 1 unknown. If they sink into Stupor or Otawara, their own Lurrus, after I reanimate it, that's kind of embarrassing. Oh, that's so much better. Okay. Well, I'll do that instead. And hope that I survive the turn cycle to do it. I'm going to hide the Entomb. It's more likely Entomb resolves if I don't let them untap. But I don't want it to be known what I'm up to. Ooh, Demonic Tutor. Yuck. Yeah, this is where vintage decks do their thing. Just getting an Ancestral Recall or a Tinker here could completely flip everything. There it goes. I need both Entomb and Animate to resolve, so I'm not in a hurry to respond to anything right now. Okay, they would have to force Entomb. Valgavoth is the only one left. Animate Dead, target Valgavoth. Force pitching Mental Misstep. Oh yeah, I did that backwards. They said mess this up in the chat. I'm not just rubbing it in. But yeah, Mental Misstepping the Entomb would have been pretty good. All right, now Valgavoth is in the graveyard, though, which means reanimation spells are alive for me to hit. Dark Ritual Entomb someday. Their life total is dropping. They're 1 of Strip Mine. They don't play more than 1 of that sort of effect here. Containment Priest. Shit. Okay, well, now everything sucks. They are interested in racing, which means they have the Grief. Grief has Menace. Nope. This doesn't tell me anything. Con Queso Thundertrap Trainer. I'm probably going to concede this game in a second. Time Walk. And Force of Will. Okay, so they're not worried about anything at this point. Psychic Frog is my white out of this. They can actually trade off with... Yeah, I can't get through this Containment Priest. My reanimation monsters are all out. And this is the concern of playing an unpowered deck. Game 1, I just mulliganed a lot, which might be able to be fixable in deck build. But game 2 actually did what we wanted. Disrupted their hand, set up a reanimation, but my opponent, from basically nothing. We knew their whole hand just drew Demonic Tutor, which found Ancestral Recall, which then dumped out everything. And we also had to deal with the Luris along the way. Vintage decks are powerful. I'm already concerned that the Wastelands are not going to be good, and those should be something else. Maybe you get like 2 or 3, but not 5. We will continue to revisit that as we go. I also wonder if some amount of the forces should be unmasks, maybe even all of them. Like if we play 4 Grief, 4 Unmask, obviously that's worse if you're ever on the draw, but unmasking yourself to set up a quick, like Grief them, unmask yourself, reanimate a monster is a line you have. And then you also don't have to worry about blue count for forces. Thoughts already percolating. We will continue to think about it as the league continues. The 9th installment of the NYSE Vintage Open Series is coming. This 15 proxy vintage tournament with Power 9 prizes takes place on Saturday, June 14th, 2025 in Long Island, New York, and has a $500 entry fee. That's a hefty entry, but the guaranteed prizes for top 8 are unlimited Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, Time Walk, and all 5 Moxen. The NYSE Open 8 went well for me last year. Someone better come stop me from getting another Lotus. Will it be you? I'll be at the NYSE Open 9 on June 14th, and I hope to see you there. Register on melee.gg or use the link in the video description. I'm on the draw in round 2. I'm going to do the opposite thing here, which is instead of mulligan to a nut hand, I already have Force blue card, potentially double Force double blue card, and Psychic Frog. Opponent's on a mulligan to 2. I suspect we're playing against Bazaar. Okay, here we go. The old all-in moment. They did find a Dredger. Wasteland? Oh, yeah. Okay. I was just going to say, this is where those Wastelands that I'm not that high on would be bonkers. It also would have been bonkers to reanimate their Stinkweed Imp so they have nothing to dredge. I would have taken that line if it was available. Okay, they are slow dredging, and they are out of dredgers, which means I have to beat a Narcomoeba and a Prized Amalgam, which Psychic Frog is really good at doing. I need them not to draw another Bazaar, basically, until I get this under control, and it'll be under control pretty much immediately. Okay, here we go. I'm ready to party. All right, they've just simply had enough. Don't even want to see if they're about to draw a Bazaar or not. Done. Okay. Dredge. Blazing Archon, that's what this is in the sideboard before. Creatures can't attack you. Pretty powerful versus this deck. Leyline of the Void, obviously. Pithing Needle comes in. And from there, the forces are not very good. Force of Negation, especially because it doesn't counter Force of Vigor, which it would be used to take out my Leylines and Needles. Vexing Bauble is a pretty solid KO versus a Floundering Dredge opponent. Valgavoth, this is the reason for the season here. I don't really want Grizzlebrand. Atraxa will do enough here. Archon does enough. Flusterstorm can protect my counter pieces. Cutting Grief seems a little strange, but might also make sense if I get to know what they're up to and remove it. I might not need all of them. This is certainly not a deck where scamming a Grief is going to beat them. And Ponder could just be a little slow. Blue count, pretty much criminal here. Mental Misstep counters Noxious Revival, which is one of the ways that they can get more Bazaars in the mix. All right, I'm doing it like this. Okay, no hate in my hand. I do have a quick Entomb Reanimate, but Valgavoth is in my hand already. They powdered and then mulled to 6. I am going to mulligan this. I need to do a little better. Here we go. Leyline and the ability to protect it. Keep. Bottom. Animate Dead is how I actually win, but that takes multiple pieces to get going. Yeah, I'm going to bottom animate. They powdered a 5, and then it looks like they've stopped on 5. 5 cards. I have a protected Leyline. Pause in my upkeep means Force of Vigor. I'm going to force keeping my Brainstorm. And we did it. We're on the board. If the vintage experience is defined by extremes, and if we're able to condense those extremes, whether it be a mull to 2 that we could wasteland them off of the game 1, or mulling to Potent Hate and protect it game 2, you can always spike wins if you know what the format is doing. On to the next round. This might be a quick league. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I am on the play versus a Luris strategy. I have turn 1 Entomb Reanimate. I am going to keep. The question here is Grizzlebrand or Atraxa. I think it's Grizzlebrand. I'm going to see if Entomb resolves first, and then we'll see if Reanimate is important. All right, Entomb, disappointing. They have the misstep, just the best possible. Doesn't even cost 2 cards to answer. All good. I'm going to pass here. The powerful vintage format strikes again. Wasteland. Hate that. Okay, there's a Grizzlebrand. Ponder better do some work here. Oh no. So if I had pondered before entombing, was I supposed to set this up a little more? Like, Grief and Mental Misstep are both here. This is a shuffle and probably have a bad time. Shuffle, land, Grief. All right, well, I'll grief you. I'll pitch the enemy dead. What do you got over there? Nile Spellbomb. Well, I'm not beating that card, so I'll take it. They've got lands, Orcish, Bowmaster, Force of Negation right now. Blue cards are bad for me. Psychic Frog. Oh no. What a moment. A moment of excitement dashed by Mental Misstep. Kept a card on top. Basically any blue card plays here. Main phasing the Bowmaster just in case I draw the ability to draw cards. Instead, I'll flood out with monsters. There's the Wasteland. They can... Oh, Time Twister. Well, this is 7, 15, 16 damage. But I do get a new hand. All right, let's have a look. Oh, my new hand is not better than my old hand. I'm at 2. I have 2 Dark Rituals. Is that enough to get Valgavoth in play? Okay, I go to 2. That's so many monsters. All right, I'm dead. All right, 1 interaction point short. Once again, if Grief was there, if I could have forced back, all would have been useful. This does appear to be Dimir, Luris, Control. Some Fatal Pushes could come in. They didn't really have a chance to reveal white mana to me. They may or may not have it. I didn't see anything that would completely sell me, whether they're Esper or Dimir. Fatal Push is reasonable either way. Shouldred is a fine mid-range object I can bring in. I don't like Force of Negation very much. Most of their threats are either creatures or fights I have to win on my own turn. I like Frog. Grizzlebrand pretty dangerous versus a Bowmaster deck. Shave 1 monster. And do I actually want Vexing Bauble? My opponent does have a bunch of free permission in their deck. They also are not a huge free spell deck. They have the forces, but they don't have like all 5 Moxen. They have their 3 appropriate Moxen. I guess I do want Vexing Bauble. That's just something that could make them play at my speed. I need 1 more cut here. Valgavoth is basically unkillable. They're never going to have 3 non-land permanents. I could go -1 Wasteland. That doesn't help me cast my spells, and I'm not really interested in wasting them. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Shieldred 2 Wastelands, Ponder Valgavoth. I mean, it's not exciting, but it's not complete garbage either, and I do have 2 Wastelands that could make the game take longer right after I say Wasteland's not really what I'm doing here. Blusterstorm and 2 lands I don't want. I gotta shuffle this. Dark Ritual, that's a Shieldred. Underground Sea, and passing the turn. I've got an Entomb for your face. What do you think about that? Floating a blue. Brainstorm. Okay. You got it. I'm going to Entomb in their upkeep, I think. That's before most of their counterspells are online. If they have Misstep or Force of Will, it can work here. Okay, Entomb resolves. I think I'd like to put Archon of Cruelty in the graveyard. Or, no, I want it to be Atraxa. I'd rather reload, I think, than have something that dies so easily to Swords to Plowshares. Oh, we're both wasting each other. I can play this game. Ooh. Show me your secrets. Spell Pierce, no lands. There is... Let's pop this out. I'm actually having trouble understanding it. Force of Negation. I could Ritual here. They can't interact with Shieldred with the cards they're showing me right now. Would they have the intelligence, the awareness to counter the second Ritual? I think I'm just going to wait a turn. No, I'm going to do it. Here we go. Ritual, Shieldred is my plan. They have to be willing to Force of Negation a Ritual, and it only really hurts me if it's the second one. Sick. Played around it. You're up. Trigger. They're discarding the hand size. They're under the gun of Shieldred. Discarding a Treasure Cruise. Yeah, I would too. Wasteland's in play. Begin the beats. The pivot. One of their best draws right now is probably just Black Lotus. Get Bowmaster into play. That can block for a while. That doesn't really solve your problems, though. Oh, right into my Wasteland. I'll take it. Not that they could play around it. You have to play the land if you draw it. Attack. Wasteland. Swamp. Opponent is dead this turn cycle if they don't figure it out, because they take 2 here, attack for 4, take another 2. Heck yeah. All right. Gitaxian Probe for the win. I still don't think Wasteland is good, but it was pretty good that game. I still haven't seen any indications of white cards in their deck. All right, here we go. I like the creature pivot. I like the frogs. I like the Shieldred. Even hardcasting Grief could be fine. Okay. Grief could clear the way for Psychic Frog. I'm going to keep. And once again, medium soft to Wasteland. But what else is new? Tormod script. All right. Oh, Tormod. Your namesake is here to fuck you. Strip Mine. I could just play Strip Mine here. That makes it harder for them to amass mana. Makes it hard for me to do anything too. All right, I'm going to play Minder City Sewer. I think that's just the way to do it. I could Grief pitching Demonic Tutor and then get some options. Yeah, I'm actually going to do that. Demonic Tutor is just not very good in this deck. It's like another Entomb or Reanimate, which Tormod script already has under control. Grief ya. Grafdigger's Cage, Fatal Push, Spell Pierce, Force of Will, Mystical Dispute. Mystical Dispute is a pain in my ass for sure. So is Fatal Push. All of these cards are bad for me. Or no, I can push Fatal, or I can misstep Fatal Push. They don't have a second land. All right, I'm going to take Force of Will here and make them meet me where I am. If they, oh, a second frog is great. If they fetch Undercity Sewer here, which I suspect they will, I will waste it. And if they don't find another land, I'm just functioning underneath their various soft permission spells. Dump Denial Spellbomb. That's the third piece of Graveyard Hate. Okay, they found a second land. A little disappointing. And now they're playing Draw-Go with me. I think I'm going to cast Ponder. Because if they spend a Pierce or a Dispute on that, that's 1 down. I know their whole hand. They can't have Bowmaster right now or anything else. Shieldred in the mix. Okay, now I have multiple layers of a plan coming together. Strip Mine you. Come on with the lands, chill. At least I know what's in their hand. Okay, Underground Sea. All I can do here is start testing their interaction. If they dispute this, then I play the next one next turn. If they push this, I misstep it. They dispute the push, or pierce the push, or pierce the misstep. You know what I'm trying to say. And these frogs will flush out the interaction on the way up to Shieldred. Really hope they use Dispute here and not Pierce. But there's literally a Psychic Frog face up in play. Why would you use Dispute here? Okay. They found the correct answers. Time Walk. All right, Emergency Time Walk. That did access land number 3. If they buy Luris here, I get to stick a frog. I could just jam frog into Mystical Dispute here. I'm not going to do that. I play discard spells in my deck. I'm drawing Wild starting next turn. Just drawing Grief here is actually bonkers. If they spend any time and effort buying Luris, that's a window I can maybe shove a frog through. They can hardcast Dispute on Shieldred, but if they have less than 3 up when they pass. Okay, there we go. They bought Luris, which means Shieldred gets to jam. Can't dispute this one. And their hand right now does not beat Shieldred. Luris can become a draw engine with the Nile Spellbomb, but we'll see what happens. Fetch. Nile Spellbomb's in. Ooh, I love a Flusterstorm here. This also means my frog gets to come down. Attack with Shieldred. Get that damage in. Casting my Reanimate here doesn't do anything. That's probably going to be frog fodder. Bonus at 8. Lurrus can bring them back to 11. If they draw a card with the Spell Bomb, they take damage. Deal. My graveyard is... I'm going to give Psychic Frog Flying, just in case. Got him. Graveyard's gone. Ponder, that's another 2 damage from Shieldred. This is the sick thing about Shieldred as a magic card. Just like cantripping to try to solve the problem doesn't even work. Heck yeah, alright. We're on the rebound to round number 4.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 4 versus another Lurrus strategy. I'm going to keep my hand. This is the first appearance of Vexing Bauble. That could clear the runway. A Wasteland, huh? Well, guess what? Wasteland casts Vexing Bauble, so I'm cool. And now I have Entomb Animate Dead to follow up this Bauble. Force of Negation. I am going to Force of Will this because if this resolves, it doesn't work anyway. Bauble's down. Scalding Tarn does not get Basic Swamp, which could be a bit of a problem. Lorien Revealed finds their land, which is Tundra. So they either don't have a basic, or they're planning on wasting my Wasteland before they play this card. Tundra. Ponder. I would love if they waste my Wasteland. I also have the option to waste their Wasteland if they don't, so my Underground Sea will be pretty safe. Either way here. Cool. Alrighty. Scalding Tarn pass. A Flusterstorm or Spell Pierce kind of thing will get me here, but I'm good against any of the forces. Underground Sea, cast Entomb. Okay, I have to remind myself exactly what Valgavoth does. If a card you didn't control you put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with Valgavoth. You may pay life. So it's during your turn, and these are cast without paying their mana cost. During your turn is the important part. I was just thinking, how well can this deck combo over top of Valgavoth? Archon hitting a 3-card hand could be pretty impactful. Atrax is already gone. I think I want Grizzlebrand. I'm on Animate Dead, not Reanimate, so my life total is in pretty good shape. Vexing Bauble is stepping on my own tail a little bit here, because I can't just draw 14 and grief them a bunch and then win. All right, Animate Dead, target Grizzlebrand. It has to be Spell Pierce here. Okay, they're just done. Cool. Vexing Bauble. I'll never besmirch you again. I like the juke. This feels more like Combo Lurrus, the way they fetch those Tundras early, than Esper Lurrus. Even in Esper Lurrus, black is the main color. I'm not working on a lot here. We saw Force of Negation. A Force of Negation, Tundra, Wasteland are all we saw here. I think this is... I mean, Wasteland in a combo shell is weird. If it was Strip Mine, it wouldn't really be information. Okay, white mana means Containment Priest. I think I'm going to do the same thing I did last round, where... Which one did I cut last time? Was it Grizzlebrand? I want the ones that are the most durable against Swords to Plowshares, so Archon of Cruelty can get out. My own Force of Negations can chill. And this is the part where I hemmed and hawed and eventually cut a Wasteland. I think I'll do the same thing again. It worked so well last round. Shieldred, win another game for me. You are the queen of the sideboard matches. Alright, nothing to do here. I'm going to mulligan. I don't even have a land to entertain the draw, update, or manually discard. Alright, Entomb, multiple Reanimates, and Psychic Frog. Dig Through Time is the worst card here. Are we expecting games to go long enough for Dig Through Time? Oh, we're Jeskai Lurrus. Alright. New color revealed. I'm going to Entomb on their turn. All right, Entomb here. This plays around Force of Negation. Attracts it to the bin. Wasteland. That won't stop me. I got the goods. Ooh, waste you back versus starting to reanimate. I'm going to waste them back. Garbage Magic favors me here. All right, they have the Lorien, so they're not actually in the garbage. Cycled that, got a Tundra. Tundra's in. And now I'll start testing with these reanimates. Force of Negation, Pitching, Force of Will. Okay. Now it gets a little dicey because they're untapping into 2 mana that could represent Containment Priest and really mess me up. They're also, if they have another Wasteland, I don't have a follow-up plan. We'll see what happens here. Brainstorm. All right. I'm going to just cast Reanimate on Atraxa. If they have Priest, it sucks, but if they don't have Priest, I'm in great shape. Tilt. All right. So I lose 7 life for no reason, and then pass the turn, and hope Psychic Frog can win the game. If I had drawn land there, I would have just played Psychic Frog, just for the record. But I didn't have a better plan at the time. Dig Through Time. That card's good for you. It's not good for me. If they are all in on stopping the graveyard, though, like if their hand is Soul Guide Lantern, Force of Negation, Containment Priest, Psychic Frog can win this game by itself. Ooh, there's the Force of Will I needed last turn. Brainstorm, please find a land. Can I play this game? Is it allowed? Days, huh? I'm not going to fight over this. I think this Force is too precious. They're definitely a tempo deck. Lower to the ground, not comboing. And Force of Will, where were you last turn, buddy? I needed you. And you betrayed me. Brainstorm, no shuffle. Dreadheart Arcanist, this is what we're doing. Okay, sweet. Yeah, let's go. Psychic Frog. Ba-bow, bow, bow. A relevant game object has entered the stack. A Force of Will, pitching Thundertrap Trainer. I'm going to force pitching Frog. This is what we played towards. And now, can I get this game done with just a 2/3 Frog? I will concede immediately to Swords to Plowshares or Lightning Bolt. Thundertrap Trainer. Can't stop that one. They tap their white, so they're probably digging for Pyroblast or Lightning Bolt rather than Swords to Plowshares. That's just interesting to note. Ponder. They are all in here. Let's see a shuffle. Didn't shuffle. Oh no. Ancestral Recall. I've heard that one's good. And Dreadhorde Arcanist, immediately ready to refire it. And I don't get to eat Dreadhorde because I only have 1 card in hand. Alright. That was a tight squeeze. Like if my Force of Will shows up 1 turn earlier, or if I draw land 1 turn earlier than I did, the Frog could have been down before all this shit happened. Like, obviously we're losing this game and I'm not making excuses, but as far as this game's going to look really bad on the last turn, but there were moments where it was fine. Okay. Swords to Plowshares confirmed. They are low to the ground. That means Archon is actually better than Grizzlebrand. If I'm fighting creatures, I like that. Though that does make Swords to Plowshares worse. My answers to Containment Priest are already in. Is Demonic Tutor even good? It's a black card, but it doesn't... I guess Demonic Tutor for Fatal Push to get me out of a situation could be fine. Just looking at this land, now that I have my shoulders in. Alright, I'm going for this. This match is definitely going to be about who can get those early turns, who can be way ahead in the early turns. Okay, Entomb, Reanimate, and I can see what they're working with. I am going to keep... I'm fairly confident this deck wants more discard than it plays, but I'm going to probe you. What do you got? Opponent has Gataxian Probe, Containment Priest, turn 1 Containment Priest, Time Walk, Ancestral Recall. Holy smokes. Well, this is going to be tough. I guess Psychic Frog is my entire plan, my entire personality. I'm going to play Basic Swamp and pass. There is only 1 land over there, but Lorien Revealed represents more lands. Yeah, that's not even true. If that Gataxian Probe was Thoughtseize, I would feel so much better. Like if this Dig Through Time was Unmask and we just stripped the Priest, I'm in pretty good shape. Obviously we have to overcome Ancestral Recall, but I think that's something we can do. Okay, I've been probed. Seeing what I'm working with here, they can go land Ruby, Time Walk, next turn Ancestral, hit the land drop, or they could just resolve Priest right now while the getting's good. Time Walk spent. It's not without risk to Ancestral Recall here if they don't have the land lined up already, because they've seen Entomb Reanimate. Gotta respect it. Lorien Revealed. It's another Tundra. And I'm going to cast Entomb. That is happening. I'm going to put Valgavoth in the graveyard. That's the one they can never deal with. And I can also... I mean, I can't cast any of them, but let's get rid of that one. Force of Will. Hesitating on that Containment Priest might have cost them the game. I'm gonna play Strip Mine because we've seen Daze. All right, reanimate Valgavoth, and they've drawn some cards since last we saw this. Force pitching Dig. They had a force cost Thunder Trap Trainer. Damn, doesn't even cost them their Ancestral Recall. What a nice pair of cards you drew. All right, Strip Mine you, and then probably lose. Just taking 9 for no reason. All right, fine. That Force of Will wasn't there when we saw their hand, and that other blue card, the 2 unknowns, were exactly what the best cards they could be. All right. I'm not beating this situation. Now they're stripping my lands. On to the final round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release, the Magic lore expressed through the cards in that set, Tournament Edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era, an award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set, and a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/TheResleevables. I'm on the play in the final round, positive record on the line. I am going to keep this. It has the Entomb, which is the important part, and then I have 7 ways to pay out Entomb at any point down the road. I have a turn 2 Psychic Frog. All of this has Force backup. Opponent did not reveal Aluris. I can also double Force if I just need to survive. Ancient Tomb. Chalice of the Void on 1. Interesting, because that does stop Reanimate. It doesn't stop Psychic Frog. I'm going to Entomb in response. I'll get Underground Sea and cast Entomb. Then my plan is to just cast Psychic Frog and beat their head. I'm going to grab Archon of Cruelty here. Ooh, Grief. Well, Grief doesn't help me. I'm going to play Soporific Springs and Psychic Frog, use Force of Will to survive this turn cycle, and then Wasteland them and hopefully just go coast to coast with Frog. And if I ever draw an Animate Dead, we are just in Archon Town. If this game drags out, I can start casting Griefs. Haven't gotten to do that yet in the league, but it is pretty sweet. If they Wasteland me and pass the turn, I'm going to be so stoked. Fine, deal. Let's go. Okay, Reanimate is... I think I want to push damage here. I'm going to discard Reanimate. I'll keep the Grief. I would still like to Grief them, at least in some theoretical fashion. If I end this game with Grief still in my hand, it's going to be unfortunate I didn't push the extra damage. But knowing what they're got going on over there is important. If the best thing they could do in the face of Psychic Frog Lesserin was waste me, oh, your initiative. Glad we played it out. Oh, Eldrazi. Fascinating. Is this a lie? Would they lie to me about that? I drew Animate Dead. Well, I'm going to attack first before I do anything else, because if I draw a black source, we are in business. Magic's easy. Fetch. Underground Sea. Animate Dead. Show me what you got, opponent. Discarded Sire of 7 Deaths. Wow. Okay. I'm going to pass the turn. I could cast Grief next turn, but they are dead next turn if there is a next turn. I just have lethal damage. Sire of 7 Deaths. What are we doing with that in Vintage? What if I reanimated that? Okay, cool. We're against some sort of Eldrazi deck that goes extremely tall. Consigned to Memory seems good. Blazing Archon probably has a home here. Shieldred in case I get heavily graveyard hated. Okay, Vexing Bauble doesn't seem important here. Mental Misstep. Gataxian Probe. I don't really care what's in their hand. And they're not going to cast 1-drops. Flusterstorm doesn't seem very good. My blue count is criminal right now, but it's fine. I guess it's still 18. It's not as bad as it looks, with the Frog and the Atraxa just kind of floating around and 2 consigns are coming in. I don't think I'm playing Grizzlebrand in this matchup. I'll turn that into Blazing Archon and make that side pivot. Okay, let's go. See what this deck has in store for me. Hopefully we just Entomb Reanimate their business again, and we don't actually know what they have in store for me. Well, there's Entomb. There's no Reanimate. I do have Force Blue card. I'm going to try this. You only get one Chalice of the Void in this format. Eldrazi Temple. Grafdigger's Cage. Well, I don't want to play against that card. I'll pitch the Atraxa. Give this Entomb a chance to live. I have the Dark Ritual, which means that if I draw a Reanimate or an Animate Dead, I'm just in. I think I should Wasteland. I don't have a proactive plan yet. And if they kept a loosey-goosey hand on the strength of Grafdigger's Cage, this is something I can punish. Ancient Tomb. Null Rod. All right. I don't have artifacts in my deck. Deal. And I'm just going to keep treading water here. I have win the game buttons. I have 7 win the game buttons if I draw them. I wonder if this is also an unpowered deck. The main deck, Null Rod, the strategy in general, all seems like it might lean in that direction. Like, what is Null Rod Eldrazi with Sire of 7 Deaths in it, if not an unpowered option? Okay, we're in the Thought-Knot Seer zone, unfortunately. And it is clearly the card they have. I'm going to Entomb in response. I think giving myself the high roll is better than my other options, and Archon of Cruelty is the guy here. I thought Knot's going to take Psychic Frog, and then I'm drawing live to a 7-outer, and I have a couple of cantrips that I could still reach for or draw. All right, deck, big rips. That's not it, but it is an Undercity Sewer to get additional options. If they have Kozilek's Command now represented, I don't think I can ever win. Grove of the Burn Willow's fun. Thought-Knot Seer coming in. Red and green mana here. Do they have the Eldrazi Linebreaker? Undercity Sewer. Animate Dead. I'll put that on top. They are, of course, representing Kozilek's Command. Even Boseiju, who endures, would get me here. I needed this last turn, but I drew it this turn now that they have mana up. They're casting an Eldrazi spell in response. It's got to be Command. Yep. No surprise there. We had a 1-turn window, and it passed. They do need to come up with more damage than they're currently dealing for me to concede. I guess Psychic Frog could still turn this around if I draw it quickly. Eldrazi Temple. Now they can cast whatever Big-O they got. They got 10 mana here. Ulamog do it. Take 2 of my lands. Glaring Fleshraker. With 1 card left, that's not the scariest thing. If that 1 card left is Kozilek's Command, or if it's Linebreaker, I'm actually just dead, I think. There's red mana in the pool. Nice. It is Linebreaker. This is 7 Eldrazi. And I'm at 12 life. And it grants haste. So I'm dead. All right. GG. Cool. All right. 1 critical turn is what mattered there. Mental Misstep does counter Gitaxian Probe. Or, oh my god. It does counter Gitaxian Probe. But it counters Grafdigger's Cage, which is the card I meant to say. So I'll tell a story, since I'm out here flubbing card names. Yesterday, I woke up to work out and start my day, and I did the first half of my leg day exercises, and then just randomly did the second half of my shoulder day exercises, which was not my plan. That was completely unintentional. I just went to the other list and continued and didn't even notice until I was basically done. And then I took a shower and tried to walk to my room with the hairdryer instead of my phone. And then when I got to my room, I almost put my clothes in the trash instead of the hamper. So that's where I'm at intellectually right now. Okay. Flusterstorm versus Kozilek's Command is actually a bigger thing that I probably should have respected more. Force of Negation is a good answer to things like Grafdigger's Cage. Do I need this Lotus Petal? And they're bringing in Null Rods, so... But it is a relevant boost of mana. I think it might be Demonic Tutor again. This is just slow and doesn't solve the problems it needs to. This is my plan. +1 Flusterstorm, -1 Demonic Tutor. Okay, I'm going to keep. It's a little risky. I could just get locked out of this game, but we have the Psychic Frog discard my monster strat here. I really wish Valgavoth was Force of Will. I think this hand would be unbeatable if it was, but obviously that's not the world we live in. I hope they lead on Null Rod or some shit that I just do not care about. Or high roll one of my 2 remaining monsters off of Undercity Sewer. Grove of the Burn Willows. Interesting. Am I getting pyroblasted? What's going on over there? Sewer, trigger, Blazing Archon. I high rolled one of my shitters. We did it, team. And I can grief them? Oh my god. Do I think that Valgavoth or Atraxa is more important long term? How are they ever going to be Valgavoth? Oh, they have Fleshraker. They could sack 3 things. All right, I will leave Atraxa in the mix, and I'm going to grief pitching Valgavoth. Okay, Mystic Forge and Null Rod side by side, as Garfield intended. Wastegate Battle Mage, I take that. They have Eldrazi Temple. All right, yeah, Wastegate Battle Mage is the one that's going to go, because that can bounce creatures. Now, very important. Well, they can Chalice next turn, so I guess I have to reanimate now. Yeah, I would rather have Atraxa in play than Archon, but knowing that they can turn off my cards next turn, I gotta do what I gotta do. Creatures can't attack me. They can still win. Fleshraker is a hell of a card. There's the Temple. And this Cradle doesn't tap for mana unless they find a creature somewhere. Yeah, I mean, this is the play available to you. Here I am just eating good with my randomly milled Archon. And now I have Force backup. Let's go. Okay, I feel really good at this point. I'm going to fetch Underground Sea, play Psychic Frog. I am not going to play Sink into Stupor as a land. It's useful both as a blue card and as a Sink into Stupor. Ooh, ripping Eldrazi Temple is actually among the best things they could do here. I guess I have to force this. I'll actually pitch the Sink here, because if I draw Animate Dead, I can still go Berserk. That keeps the Cradle off, or I can draw another Force of Will. Pitcha, Ponder. Can't cast that one, so now I have an extra thing to pitch to Force, and they are dead next turn. Mystic Forge as a way to cast additional Eldrazi, and not necessarily as a way to shred artifacts through your deck, is really interesting. It's kind of a mild card selection that can draw a Thought-Knot Seer here and there. I think this is an unpowered deck. I just noticed that Psychic Frog is right side up. I don't like that. When it attacks, it becomes correct, because on the art it's upside down. Ew. All right, stay down there. Stay down there. Ew. Does Psychic Frog look wet or just shiny? This type of frog usually is wet, right? It's toads that are dry. Right, opponent doesn't want to hear me talk about toads anymore, and they conceded. A positive record. We went through 4 for real vintage decks, and then a unpowered. It's weird to call it a mirror because we're doing completely different things, but another unpowered player, or at least someone we suspect is unpowered. The deck clearly has the high roll potential. I mean, Reanimator is a powerful strategy. Basically has been since the printing of Entomb, and maybe even before then, if you were willing to work a little harder for monsters that were worse. As I said throughout the league, I think that making this deck blacker and give it better mana are the places I'd go. Like Force of Negation out. I'd probably play 3 total Wastelands, not 5. So cut 2 Wastelands for fetch lands, the last Underground Sea, that sort of thing. You get more. You get the 4th Dark Ritual. Force of Negation becomes Unmask. Probably Flusterstorm. And Dig Through Time. Yeah, definitely Dig Through Time could be an Unmask. Flusterstorm. I actually trust these 1-for-1 counters more than I trust Force of Will. Because the blue count's about to take a beating if these changes are made. But I think focusing on sending it harder, like be one of these Reanimator decks that, rather than having a tempo plan, though Psychic Frog can solo certain decks by itself, don't cut Psychic Frog, but rather than thinking about like Archon of Cruelty and then protect it for 2 turns in a format where you might not get 2 turns, Grizzlebrand, draw 7 or 14, either shred their hand with Griefs or an Unmasked, or then reanimate a Valgavoth or an Atraxa with your 7 to 14 bonus cards. Maybe this deck wants Shallow Grave to increase how that plays. We're starting to become a very different deck, like blue-black tempo ReScaminator and mono-black or light blue splash combo Reanimator are pretty different decks. But if you're going to go unpowered into the most powerful format, you might want to lean in and really try to cheese rather than try to play fair against anyone. That's where I'm going to leave this. I'm glad this league went nice places after that miserable round 1. I had deep fear of, oh no, is this going to be one of those videos that I just feel bad that it exists? And no, absolutely not. We got real wins with the deck as it is, and I think we found a path to improve the deck. Tormod, I hope this helps you in your search for an unpowered deck you're happy to play. Everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.